He's Bruce the Blog.
And he's Bazzo, and you're watching Bruce the Blog Goes Bazzo.
Good evening, everybody. So anyway.
Good evening, afternoon, morning, whenever you're watching the show, because in addition to being on channels 74 and channels 15 on the Cablevision systems in your area, thanks to Bazzo and one of his good friends and
Denise
customers,
Wilson.
we are now on YouTube. So you could be watching us at 5 in the morning for all we know.
Her name is Denise Wilson.
Denise Wilson,
and she's
right.
been doing the best of Bruce the Blog Goes Bazzo on YouTube.
Right.
And it's on Google. Just Google.
And as
Bruce
I
the
like to
Blog.
say, folks, if it truly was the best of Bruce the Blog Goes Bazzo, it probably would be 60 seconds. But actually, she's very generous, and she puts up the entire episodes. And there's about, what, a half a dozen episodes, Bazzo?
We're up to about the time this shows will be a half a dozen, yes.
So welcome to another episode of Bruce the Blog Goes Bazzo. And Bazzo now will introduce our guest, because one of the changes we made in the show since we started is we used to wait, maybe till like the 30-minute show was at its 29th minute before introducing our guest, or so it seemed. And then we, like to learn from our mistakes, you might say. And so let's get right to our guest, Bazzo.
Okay, our guest this week is Peekskill Councilman-elect Darren Rigger, but he's not really
Welcome,
here.
Darren.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
Darren.
you.
Always good to
very
have
much.
you.
Congratulations, because you knew that I wanted you in office. I'm glad you made it.
Well, thank you for having me on again, and thank you for that first time. That was terrific.
And by the way, isn't it dangerous when your name is, when you put the two words together, rigor and election? That could get a little...
Yeah.
That would be...
But it wasn't rigged. You won fair and square.
Then it's not fair. Then I'm going to say it. He's the best councilman money can buy, and that's only because he just went to a
Yeah, but you know
ethics
something?
committee.
He says that about everybody.
This is true. Anyway, but there's a reason why I'm doing the introduction, because one of the things I said about Darren was his resume.
Did you bring it with you?
I did not.
Oh, okay. Well, you can email it to us.
The fact that he had been in he wasn't parochial in his political career. From presidential to Senate to congressional to governor to state
And
races.
besides which, you have to keep a separation between religion and, government anyhow, so you don't want to be parochial.
No.
Absolutely. But Darren has the resume to be our Bruce the Blog Goes Bazzo, official Democrat talking head, as we now
I mean, he's like James Carville or Mary Madeline or something
But
like
he's
that.
our version of it. He gets a cup of coffee where they probably get real money. See, and there's the coffee.
Right, here's the coffee.
There's the coffee.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, he will be a recurring guest as we are now in the presidential, congressional, and state race election season now until next year. Not every week, just recurring though, because he's going to be the Democrat spokesman.
Someone has to be to the left of Andy Bazzo. Wait,
Well,
everybody is to the left of Andy Bazzo.
Well, it's more. It's actually more the fact that you are a true Democrat. You don't even wear red ties, I've noticed.
So if Rhino is Republican in name only, is Democrat in name only Dino?
Dino, right.
Dino.
Right.
Dino, I don't know.
I kind of like that, actually.
And then they have a glass of scotch and they sing Volare.
Right.
Well, thank you for
But anyway,
having
but
me. I
that's
really
right. So
appreciate it.
you will be seeing Darren as a more regular guest on the show as we get deeper into these national elections.
Right.
And so welcome, Darren. I hope you
Thank
enjoy
you.
being part of our family now.
I love it, yes.
Yeah, welcome. And speaking of Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, everybody. Wait a minute. Well, I wanted to say at the top of the show,
Merry Christmas,
Merry
Kurt.
Christmas, Happy
Yes.
Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa. But the reason, what reminded me to say that is I'm looking at the coffee cup and it says chai, but to people of my faith, Judaism, it's like chai. Chai, which means 18, which is a sort of has religious overtones in Judaism. Anyhow, the salute of the week this is a very nice thing. There's a lot, obviously, more and more of our population are senior citizens, however you want to define that, by age or, other ways as well. And Westchester County has a Senior Citizen Hall of Fame, which is really nice. And recently, they named 43 people. In our viewing area, I just wanted to mention, and by the way, credit goes to the Journal News. They printed this, and I'm reading from the Journal News edition of this, that in our viewing area, we just want to salute this week Annette Birnbaum of Croton-on-Hudson, Teresa McHale of Montrose, John D'Angelo, Fran Green, and Tina McDermott of Peekskill. Do you know any of them? And Jenny Menton Grasso of Yorktown. And I know Jenny's husband, Tony Grasso, is a very active and involved citizen in Yorktown, a past councilman. I happen to know her son-in-law, Tom Menton, and his family. So we want to salute all these people for being inducted recently into the Westchester County Department of Senior Programs and Services Hall of Fame. They recently had their 29th annual awards luncheon. And something interesting, by the way, last show I did disclose, and it may bear repeating, that I'm on Michael Grace's transition team. Michael Grace is the supervisor-elect of the town of Yorktown.
So that means Rooster Blog goes Bazzo is going to get inside scoops before everybody else, doesn't it?
Yeah, that does not mean it. Anyhow, because where I am sworn to confidentiality, I keep a confidence. And that doesn't mean everything. It means well, forget it. Bazzo's just, yanking the old chain over here. Anyhow, but at a recent meeting, one thing I can say is Tony Grasso had census data, and in Yorktown, for example, the senior population is increasing at certain segments. When you look at 55 above, 65 above, 75 above, the population of seniors has been increasing, both in absolute numbers and as a proportion of the whole population, which implies, maybe the allocation of resources has to be looked at in that regard, and so, I just wanted to make that comment.
Well, statistics, this is obviously happening because the statistics show that, less people die after 100 after any other age, so you're bound to live longer if you make it to 100. Anyway,
And what else do you like to say? Bazzo always likes to say, so I'll say it from this time, nobody gets out of this life alive.
Right? This is true. Can I do with the salvo? Or are you done?
Yeah,
I didn't know if you were done with the housekeeping.
I am done with the salute.
The housekeeping.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, not all the housekeeping.
Do the housekeeping.
Okay, just quickly.
Because my salvo will segue into Darren's segment.
I mean, I want to economize, you might say, so we have more time speaking to Darren about a lot of other things. So what we would just like to say, and especially at this time of year, the holidays, one, do your best if you have clothing that you don't need anymore. Find a place to donate it. In every community, there are places that you can donate clothing. There are clothing drives, coat drives, I know.
You have Goodwill in
Goodwill,
Somers Commons, and you have
Salvation Army, right?
Right there in Peekskill, that could always use this stuff.
Right, and the same thing with food, obviously. Food, clothing, anything that people who are underprivileged could use. All of us, let's face it, a lot of us have a lot of things we don't need.
I noticed ShopRite has a bin as you go in for dry goods.
ShopRite and A&P, you could also donate.
You mentioned that, the A&P too. That
you could donate, like when you go to pay your bill for your groceries, you could check off, I think it's like $3 or $5, where they'll add it to the bill, and make a donation.
Darren, what's the pantry in Peekskill?
Fred's Pantry in Peekskill has a terrific program. It's open every Saturday morning from 8 a.m. to 11.
Right.
People can drop off food.
Where is it, so they know where to drop it?
It's at St. Peter's Church, right on North Division Street. Right there in Peekskill, real accessible.
North Division and, what is that, Howard?
And people can also drop off, there's a number of places, like for instance, Dominic's Dry Cleaners.
Right. He's got Toys for Tots. He's doing Toys for Tots.
You could drop off food goods, and he'll bring it over to the Fred's Pantry.
Right. And by the way, another salute, I don't want to give it short shrift, and we could maybe do it more formally in a subsequent show, but speaking of Peekskill with Darren here, and people who are perhaps unfortunately homeless or underfed. Jeannie Bloom, who's done a terrific job with CHOP, caring for the homeless of Peekskill, has just moved on to the coalition, a county-wide group, and that's why I should have the name ready before me, but I don't. But we'll get to it at a later show and even have Jeannie on. But she's moved on, to a larger group county-wide, again.
She's done some amazing work in Peekskill.
She does a great job, So just quickly, with we talked about helping others, and also, there's entertainment during the holidays to lift everybody's spirits. So, check out what's going on at the Paramount and at the Yorktown Stage, at Westchester Broadway Theater. You can go to their websites and do a search, or if you already know, where the websites are. There's a lot of great entertainment this time of year. You don't necessarily have to go all the way into Manhattan. There's a lot of really good, valuable, and high-value entertainment around here at a lot lower prices. And we also want to mention that the winery on Wednesday nights has jazz, for example. So that's something nice that you might want to do. In terms of the Penny Saver, which sponsors this show, Chase Media Group, I also want to mention that every year at this time, we do the Holiday Wrestling Championships, which is a great athletic event held at Yorktown High School, which hosts it. The athletic director for the Yorktown District, Theo Nardone, and the wrestling coach, John Tornambe, who I work with, do a great job. And there's 12 schools involved, so a lot of you watching, might know somebody in the wrestling tournament. I'm just going to quickly run off Somers, John Jay Cross River, Carmel, Henhood, Ossining, Byram Hills, Sleepy Hollow, Yorktown, Westlake, Croton, Putnam Valley, and Dobbs Ferry. So we want to mention that. And then finally, my shameless self-promotion segment. This coming weekend, December 17th and 18th at the Hart Library in Yorktown. Prisoner of 2nd Avenue, the Neil Simon Classic Comedy. Free performances at 2 p.m. on Saturday the 17th and 5 p.m. on Sunday the 18th. We're giving free performances. First come, first serve. There's not room for a tremendous amount of people, so if you want to see me make a fool of myself on stage, come on by. Anyhow.
As a resident of Shrub Oak, when that performs, I'm going to feel like a prisoner of East Main Street.
Oh, God.
Now, I want to do the salvo, but I want to tell you up front, this does not reflect on our guest, Darren, who's only councilman-elect. He is not a voting member of the council. He's just going to have to live with the actions of the council. He gets sworn in on January 1st. He'll get sworn at on January 2nd.
Oh, Bazzo, you're hot today. Jeez.
It's all true.
Ate his Wheaties.
You're right. You notice you could attest that I rehearsed that line with you already.
I like
with
it.
your wife. You know that, don't you? Is it true she has to call you councilman now?
No, not yet. No. Although, can I just tell you, I was on this show once before, and my wife watched the show, and I asked her, I said, what did you think? How did it go? What was your reaction? And she said, you have to go on a diet. That was her reaction.
That's why we love them. We love our spouses. They're brutally honest, but no, I
Well,
think you look great on
shockingly
camera,
so,
Darren.
mine always tells me I'm too loud.
Yeah, I can't imagine. By the way, before you get to the salvo, we would be remiss, again, at this holiday season, Christmas, Hanukkah, and whatever you might celebrate or not celebrate. Bazzo, we haven't rehearsed this because, as we say, nothing on the show is rehearsed, as is obvious. Bazzo, where is the best holiday decorations that you could find around here? I mean, with an unbelievable tree, and usually they have the gingerbread house, right?
Oh, you mean the Traveler's Rest?
Yes, no, serious. Traveler's Rest.
Yes,
really, it's the most beautifully decorated restaurant.
They make it fresh. It's amazing.
They make what, the gingerbread?
Yeah, but I believe some of those gingerbread tiles they have to make.
And if you break one off and eat it, I don't want to know what's going to happen to you, because Dave Baganelli, the owner, and
You got to
Yorktown
pay
Councilman,
for it. They
will not be happy if you break
Not
one
at
of those
all.
things off. No, it's a really impeccable gingerbread house, and you said it's real gingerbread.
Yes,
Wow.
Yeah.
yes.
And when you
yes.
walk into the lobby of Traveler's Rest, it just bowls you over.
Oh, God. Didn't he win the race for the Yorktown Council?
Well, that's what it said in the news.
Yes, son of a gun.
Yes, he did.
He's our
He
councilman.
got the most votes of anybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, the salvo this week is I'm going after the city of Peekskill for a number of things. Yes, they hired 2 new cops. I appreciate that. And now your taxes are going to go up a little over 2% because they've hired more enforcement. And I always said you don't play politics with enforcement. But the problem is the allocation of money. Your taxes didn't have to go up. They've given the video guy in Peekskill, he gets $100,000 on a part-time job.
What?
Yes. The video
Is that
guy,
true, Darren?
Yes, he gets $100,000 for his part-time gig.
I haven't seen his contract.
I know this. I was told this by another person.
And how does that person know? I mean, we should make sure that's accurate information.
He's a resident of Peekskill.
And how does he know?
Because he makes it as busy. He has another show on cable.
Did he show you
He
documentation?
has the numbers.
Did he show you
No,
documentation?
he talked about it on his show on Peekskill.
I'm saying I don't know that it's not true. I'm just saying.
I know it's.
hearsay is one thing.
I trust my sources.
Okay.
as I've always
Right.
trusted my sources, then which goes to the second salvo, which is the city manager, who has resigned. And now they're going to have pay for a search committee to find the next city manager.
Pay for a search committee?
Yes.
What do you mean?
Well, because
who's on the search committee?
Well, I don't know. They haven't assigned that yet. Have
Why
they?
would you pay somebody?
Well, because Darren explained to me the last one they had was volunteer.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
And the best they could come up with was Rick Finn.
Oh, okay. Oh, you mean so they pay a professional recruitment
Right,
search?
so
like
now-
executive search?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
So now when you come up with another Rick Finn you've paid for, that swooshing sound, he'll be your tax dollars going down the toilet.
That's just one proposal that's
I
out there.
see.
There's talk
Right.
that instead of going the route of trying to recruit again a volunteer search committee, which is what they did last time, made up of
No,
former
you know
elected
something,
officials.
there's something to be said that because if you're a lay person as far as executive search, you know, what do you know, really?
Yeah,
I mean,
and
that's,
so
you know,
they're thinking now it might be more efficient
That's a skilled
to do
profession,
what
yeah.
other communities have done and actually just kind of pay a finder's fee to an executive search committee.
right, okay, no, that makes, I understand that, yeah.
We
But,
just-
but again, that's not decided yet.
No, right,
You know, that's
no,
what-
definitely.
No, but it's still allocating money in a strange way in a recession, like they created now a head of the DPW, a new position, a new bureaucratic position in a recession. So this is
Yeah,
more.
but, I mean, even if it is a recession, and I like to think we're starting to come out of it, you don't just,
We
you know,
are
the
far-
gears don't come to a halt.
We
You don't just
are not coming out of this recession, Donnie. I can see the parking lot at the damn train station, and there's still so many empty spaces. We're not in a fragile recovery. We are in a recession.
Okay. But you're not going to come out of it if you just stop spending
You
money.
don't. You don't create new positions on taxpayer dollars in a recession. Does Chase Media Group in a recession create new positions, or do they try to consolidate old ones?
We do whatever we need to do to remain as profitable as possible, like any business.
Well, taxpayer dollars.
That's
does
what it's
that-
about. It's about remaining, in a business sense, it's about remaining profitable. So you don't rule out anything just
If
reflexively. You do
Peekskill-
what you need to
if
do.
Peekskill
Maybe a
has-
new position brings in revenue.
No, this one, it's a taxpayer-funded job. It can't bring in new revenue.
I'm just saying in a business, in the private sector, it might.
Right, but what I'm saying is that you don't go around creating public. That's the problem with Democrats in general. They talk about creating jobs, and the only jobs they want to create are expanding government jobs, jobs that take taxpayer dollars. They don't create jobs where somebody that's by people signing the front of a paycheck.
Right.
They're just creating things that people that are only going to be signing the back of a paycheck and say, well, I haven't had a raise in 2 years. I'm entitled to a new raise.
Anyhow, the statute of limitations on your salute has expired.
Right.
So, on salvo, I mean.
didn't get to
On
the-
salvo
you didn't
has
get to the
expired.
salvo, though.
So,
The
no,
salvo-
oh, didn't
the
he say it?
salvo-
He didn't say what it was?
He got to the salvo.
So this is a shaggy dog salvo.
The unwise allocation of monies right now in these budget talks, and I know they're also trying to, with the president city manager resigning, and they're going to negotiate a buyout package. Guy quits, you don't pay him. It's really that simple. Guy quits your job, you don't pay him. You don't pay them not to work, and then you pay the other guy to do the job to work. I don't understand what a negotiation of a buyout package could possibly be, except that it's taxpayer dollars and everybody thinks it's monopoly money. And I'm sorry, it's a mentality that has to stop.
Okay, that's the salvo for this week.
Yes.
Well, and then, so after January 1st, hopefully
Yeah.
I'll be able to weigh in on some of this stuff a little more.
When you're,
That's why I
more
said this
articulate.
didn't
Sworn in
reflect-
January
Exactly.
1.
So
Yeah.
we have a big swearing in on
January 1?
1st. We pushed it back. It used to be 10 in the morning. But this year, New Year's Eve is a Saturday night.
Yes, right.
So we think a lot of people
Yeah.
might want to go out.
Right.
So we pushed back the swearing in to 2 p.m. in the afternoon in City Hall chambers. You're invited.
Oh, thank you.
You're
All right,
invited. You guys, I don't know, you're probably being the Yorktown one as well, or bouncing back and forth.
I think I went to Mayor Foster's, in fact. I'm pretty
It
sure
was
I
probably
went
early
to,
in the morning, though. The last time it was
Yeah, I
early in
think
the
I went,
morning.
yeah.
So this time,
Yeah.
2 in the afternoon, it's going to be a wonderful formal ceremony, and then a reception to follow right across the street over at the Field Library in the community
Oh,
room.
nice. Oh, very
like around
nice.
3:15, it'll be,
Right.
cake, and we're going to have some music and that
Right.
type of thing.
Oh, nice.
So it'll be nice, and everybody's invited.
Okay, let's
Oh,
get
thank
to
you.
why he's here, which is not Peekskill politics. He is here to talk about, Bruce, the
Well,
first thing on the agenda.
Right. One of the things I had mentioned to Bazzo and to Rigger.
Rigger.
I guess we'll use last names. I should mention.
Rigger.
To Bazzo and Darren, because Bazzo is You know, that's his character, so I have to call him that. Just like I'm Bruce the Blog. That it's very interesting. There is Siena College, you know, has a really good research institute. They're in, was it Loudounville or Loudonville? I don't know how the pronunciation. New York, Loudonville, New York. Anyhow, so they recently came out with this something called the New York Civic Health Index. And it was just sort of uncanny to me because I've been talking as part of this Yorktown transition team how it would be good to have a community affairs mechanism, let's call it. You know, I don't know if it's a department, it's an office, it's a board, it's an advisory committee, but it's all about community affairs and about quality of life in the community. How do you sort of measure that? How do you go about trying to improve, you know, every individual resident's quality of life, so to speak? Make them more aware of resources available. Make them aware of opportunities to volunteer. You know, volunteerism is a really important part of any...
Like you're doing now with the transition team.
Right, well, like I'm volunteering. Right, nobody's getting paid for that, of course. It's a volunteer thing.
No, but
you're doing it as a civic... You feel it's a
civic responsibility.
Duty, you know, to help. Yeah. Right.
You sure this is not to set up a run for council in 2 years?
No, not to my knowledge.
This is how you cause trouble, Darren. It started with you.
So they created this Civic Health Index. And, you know, one of the things they found, I think you commented on this, Darren, when I sent it to both of you, how voting, for example, not enough people get out to vote. And why is that? How do we get more people out to vote to participate in government, which is part of what I'm talking about locally in terms of community affairs? Get people to participate more. And a lot of the people I've talked to, and Supervisor like Grace is very responsive to this idea, they want to participate, but sometimes they don't know how to go about it. They don't know who to call. You know, they don't know what the opportunities are, and those have to be made more readily available and apparent to them. So they did. I mean, we're not going to, on the show, go through this whole thing, but I know, you know, for example, you've just been elected to council in Peekskill, so it should be everybody's concern no matter where they are, right?
Yeah.
Is how do you get people more involved? You know, the analogy I use, again, from the business world is too many times in local government, it's top down, you know, and that, you know, things will get passed, the resolution or whatever, and people say, where was the referendum? There was no referendum on this. You know, why not make it more bottom up?
Now,
you know,
Darren,
so that people, so grassroots.
He was a committee chairman, and one of the things that's talked about in multiple communities, not just in Peekskill, is the amazing organization the Democrat Party has. How did you and Mike Morey before you get them? Because where you have the contrast with the Republicans, you registered more Republican voters than Republicans did.
But it's shrinking, and I think that's the big thing that this study talks about is. And what I thought was fascinating is now more than ever, people are more aware, they said. They actually know a lot of the issues. They're following the issues.
Well, and because with the change in digital media and information, right, it's all over.
But they're not actively participating.
Right.
So that
what
means,
was your secret?
So I think part of it is we do have this kind of more, what's the word?
Sedimentary.
Sedimentary, where you don't want to move. You want to sit in front of your computer.
Sedentary.
Sedentary.
Is that what you mean? Sedentary.
Sedimentary is fine. Sediment, you just
sedimentary.
Thank you, Norm Crosby. Okay.
So you want to sit in front of your computer. You want to come up. You follow these issues. You come up with things, and you want to do it from your computer.
Yeah.
You feel like posting this great article on your Facebook page now as your status report.
Right.
That was civic participation. That's as far as you're going to go.
Very good point.
You're not going to actually.
Right.
Maybe you'll send in some money on your credit card. You shop online.
Right.
You do your civic responsibility online. People don't want to get up off their butts, get out of the room, off the sofa, and actually do physical
Darren just said something.
We have 2 points here.
We're going to come to blows.
No, we have 2 points here. Because he's done this on the presidential level, that's why he's here. How did you get people involved?
But it's shrinking. I'm
telling you, how did you do it?
Absolutely shrinking. And over the last 10 years that I've been doing this, in grassroots organizing, there are the same people over and over again. Ruth Wells in the city of Peekskill is an amazing person.
Yeah.
She is so active. Not only is she a chair of the board for CHOP, but she's on the Democratic committee. She had run for office. She serves on a board and a commission.
Right.
The woman's all over the place, but it's shrinking. We have less and less of the Ruth
Wells.
Wells.
What is it? 20% of people do 80% of the work. But what I was going to say is, what about? I just want to throw this out to you. What you just said, Darren, gave me this idea. Computer hacking is a huge problem, but what about online voting? So you're saying people are sitting at home doing all these other things. Why? At some point, you would think we could be able to vote from home.
States like Oregon and the state of Washington are experimenting with voting through the mail from your home. And other states now, they're experimenting on municipal elections out there on everyone gets a PIN number. and you log in, you have your PIN number, and you vote online.
I have always,
and it does increase participation. People are freaked out by it. They're very
worried. I have
right
always
now.
found it interesting, Democrat states coming up with easier ways to vote, like motive voter, which was the new way to get the dead to vote, because now you get other people that, and now you want to do it by mail and want to do it by computer with all the hacking. It's always a Democrat that comes up with a great idea to make it easier to fix elections.
One of the big fights in this election coming up, and that's going to be a huge issue as we go forward discussing these things, is voter suppression attempts, especially by the conservatives and by the right wing.
Right.
Now they want some we have to show ID
Okay.
to be able to go vote and that type of thing.
Stop.
And everyone knows that would suppress
Stop.
minority,
BS.
African American, new immigrants.
Barbara Streisand.
Hey, he's our guest. What do
I don't care. Barbara Streisand.
Barbra Streisand.
No.
By the way, now that you're part of the family, he can yell at you.
To buy beer, you have to show ID, and nobody is intimidated. The 80-year-old woman that still has to prove she's 80 years old is not intimidated to show ID to buy beer. So there is this
No, but what about
canard
but what
that I
Darren's
show ID because I have to vote.
Okay, so forget about the ID
vote.
for a second, but what about what Darren's talking about? There have been reports that there are various ways
The
that
only suppression
they're
of
trying to make
votes
it harder.
that was done 4 years or 3 years ago was on the Democrat side. Much of it in Pennsylvania, that Eric Holder refused to investigate. And he says, I am not going to investigate this.
Attorney
Yes.
General Eric Holder. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, there was not reports of Republican intimidation. It was Democrat grassroots intimidation that was all over the media, but the Attorney General said, I'm not going to deal with this.
Well, the fact is, the studies after studies show that anything that has been done to increase voter participation, there's been some roadblocks put up by the conservative Republicans and things that are done to slow down people's ability to participate in the elections. Have been initiated.
down?
And I'll give you an example. Same-day voter registration, which makes sense to a lot of people. If you live in a community, we have enough technology now to know you can walk up, you can say, I live here in Peekskill, I live here in Yorktown, I'd like to vote, and you vote. And then they can verify whether you are truly a registered or a resident of the city. And the thing, we should have same-day voter registration and let everyone vote.
Day?
Same day.
Right.
Same day voter registration. Everyone can go vote and then verify.
There were primary states 2-3 years ago with the same day registration, and the Democrat
The Republican Party won't support the idea.
because the Democrat Party was shipping in they had the open not only same day but open registration, so even Democrats can vote in the Republican. And Democrats were shipping people by the busload to New Hampshire, by the damn busload. So no, this whole stuff is for fraud and to perpetuate fraud. And if you've got to show ID to prevent fraud, look at how they're doing this in New York City, saying, oh, it's going to intimidate people to prove they're truly homeless, that they have to show ID. But when they showed ID, it cut the welfare fraud in half, it cut food stamp fraud in half, and it cut homeless abuse in half. This whole thing about you guys, you just want to make it easier to commit fraud, to get more people to vote for Democrats because you can't do it legitimately.
Oh, wow. Anyhow, I think somebody needs to take a cold shower. But anyhow, no, we have a couple of minutes. So any final thoughts?
Darren, I want you to talk about
presidential campaign.
Yes, I want you right now to start off your first thing with your assessment, and I will leave you alone.
It is
your
fascinating.
assessment of the presidential campaign.
Mitt Romney, from the beginning of this campaign until now, has gotten between 20 to 25% in all the polls that they show, consistently over the last year, which says about 75 to 80% of the Republican Party rejects his candidacy and do not want him to be the Republican nominee. What happens is they can't decide, though, who they want to go, to be the person instead of Romney.
Right.
So it changes. It changes. It was Bachmann, and then it was Donald Trump, and then it was
like
Perry,
a carousel,
and then it was Kane.
merry-go-round.
Who is it this week?
Newt Gingrich.
Newt Gingrich.
Right, decisively.
Let me answer your question.
Okay, we have to start.
Who's is behind
Let's
the
go.
hits? The Democrats or the Republicans right now?
Darren can answer it next time.
Next week.
Yeah, next week. Yeah, we have to roll out. All right.
Anyway, these were my opinions. You may beg to differ.
And when Bruce the Blog listens, people like our friend Darren Rigger talk. Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Oh, gosh.
Was that really happening?